Hi, hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 6 of Babecast, the post-Porcfest edition. If you can't tell, we did just get back from Porcfest yesterday, so we're both still a little on the exhausted side, physically and mentally.
Mm-hmm.
That was a lot to take in, huh? Wasn't it, babe?
It was. It was a lot of fun, but yeah, I'm pretty beat.
And so our apologies to anybody that was actually looking for the show last Wednesday. We had just arrived at Porcfest, and the internet situation wasn't exactly what we were hoping for, and I think at least I was pretty drunk by 6:30 already anyway. So
yes, we did end up going to do the beer and bullshit show on Wednesday, and I barely remember doing that, so I don't know if I would have been in great condition for Babecast.
Well, luckily we had transportation from somebody who was sober to get us to one of the hotels down the road that had actual internet connections, and so we hooked up on a few minutes of the beer and bullshit show. I don't know exactly how well that went. We might have to go back. But so I don't know. We got up there Wednesday, like I said, and it was just in the middle of a monsoon.
Mm-hmm.
We had clear skies all the way coming up from Jersey. 5 o'clock in the morning, 5:30 we left. And
yes.
So we got there right around noon, and that seems like that was the start. So eventually, I may have tried to set up the tent in the middle of the rain, but luckily we were able to stay with our buddies Ruby and Nick, and they had a park model. So eventually we were able to migrate inside there after taking a nap in the Jeep because people were still up, and it was pretty chaotic just from the start.
Yeah, this was hilarious. And I can only remember Garrett telling me afterwards, but apparently after, we decided we're going to sleep on the couch, we go down, we're like at the bonfire, I don't know what we were doing. We were playing Cards Against Humanity, hanging out. And then it goes back to our... And I come back just a short while later. Everyone's telling me, Garrett's trying to set up the tent. And I'm like, it is pitch black. He's wasted.
To go to sleep. There was nowhere for me to sleep.
And it's pouring.
Well, and, that's eventually why I wound up just taking a little nap in the Jeep for, I don't know, quite a few hours. And I remember seeing the sun in the morning. I said, okay, it's dry enough now. I'm setting up the tent. So I think it was like 6 o'clock in the morning. I was out there setting up the tent. And, in all fairness, I don't think we even wound up going to sleep until 2, 3 o'clock in the morning anyhow. But
yeah. So then we slept in the tent, which the tent is fine. But as soon as the sun comes up, it's like 95 degrees in here.
I am so over camping in tents.
Yeah, I think we might never camp again, like ever.
Yeah, we might be done with that. It stinks, because it's freezing cold at night, and of course, we had any room to bring our blankets and everything. We wound up just having a couple of these blankets from like the dollar store, but it's freezing cold, and then as the sun comes up, it's 85, 90 degrees, and like it's no problem. Because the second morning, I wound up going and trying to go back to sleep on the couch while everybody else was asleep, and that was actually pretty good.
Yeah, weather at Porcfest we complain about a lot because it's either raining or it's 1,000 degrees or it's freezing.
Well,
there's not really much of a happy medium, but.
Since we're going through our dislikes now of our little Porcfest excursion, what do you know what happened with the plumbing?
So there is all this drama, okay? So apparently... So everybody thinks that people are lying. I was going on my phone because I was going to bring up the Facebook post, but I won't do that. I'll just tell you kind of from memory. So the organizer of Facebook, I think he's a guy named Liam. I'm sorry, not the organizer of Facebook. Yeah, the organizer of Porcfest.
On Facebook.
So Mark Zuckerberg.
I don't think he was there this year.
So Liam says, and he believes, this is what Rogers told him, was that somebody emptied the well. Like, somebody did it maliciously. They went up to, like, the water tank and, like, opened it. Someone was shoving some garbage and some pipes, and it messed up all the water. And this guy believes that, and he's very angry kind of at libertarians and the whole Porcfest crowd. Just, you guys are all terrible people. Apparently somebody wrote on the inside of one of the Porcfest tents. He was angry about that too. And somebody took some equipment from one tent and brought it into another one without telling anybody where. The lack of volunteers volunteering to help out and then not helping. So the organizer, and understandably, because I think every organizer of Porcfest usually ends up getting, like, the crappy end of the deal. So, like, they're not thanked enough. They do way too much work. They don't make anything. It's pretty much a full-time job.
Yep.
But
so that's why they're the way.
Yeah, so this guy's unhappy. People on the other side are saying Rogers has these problems every year. Their place just isn't big enough to accommodate all of the people that come to Porcfest.
Which is interesting because, I mean, this is the third campground I think that Porcfest has gone to, something like that. It was the biggest one that could handle the most capacity of people. But one thing is, they did bring in porta potties this year before any of the plumbing incidents happened. And it was nice to see that at first because it's like, oh, okay, you know, when you're down there at the pavilion with 300 other people at one time, there's only 2 bathrooms there to use. And the second somebody pees on a toilet seat, you're out of luck. So it was nice to see. I don't know. It was at least a handful of porta potties there. And after that happened, it was like the thing I can't figure out is how come the public bathrooms and shower spaces were working intermittently and the bathroom up in the room never stopped working.
So I think what they were doing was that not all bathrooms that were closed were actually out of order. They were closed because, like, we're trying to save water type thing, so they closed them willingly.
Yeah. I mean, that makes sense. Because could never water in the park model.
Right.
Not that I know of, anyway.
Yeah.
It happened to me once, but I think I just screwed up something and hit the setting shower head thing. But that was nice. We did get to shower while everybody else was miserable and not able to.
Freezing. Okay, that I wouldn't even call that. Kind of like bent over and stuck my head to the side so I could get the color out of my hair that was in there from the big gay dance party. But I didn't. That was not a real shower for me.
It was like pouring water on you that was at the brink of freezing. Like it was almost icicles like rolling down your back or whatever. But I'll say it was nice to be get clean, and B, very, very quickly and efficiently. It was like better than any coffee I'd ever had. Hop showers. Speaking of which, there wasn't a whole lot of coffee this year. I know you were kind of upset about that a little bit.
Yeah, and I thought that maybe I just wasn't paying enough attention, but it seems like I think the market kind of so last year there was almost too many coffee vendors, and they were really competing with each other. And then this, like, no one really had coffee, or if they did, it was like some kind of old coffee that was just sitting out and wasn't really hot and fresh.
Good thing there was the juice caboose.
There was the juice caboose. So yeah, I pretty much went without coffee most of the week, except for the day we went to get Dunkin' Donuts.
Well, go to Dunkin' Donuts. It was just there when we had to go back into town for something else. The Rogers campground just to go coffee. But yeah, I don't know. I guess that's when I don't really, unless I have to be up and active at 8 o'clock in the morning, like during the week.
I usually do tend to get if I don't drink coffee, but maybe having all that fresh, delicious juice kind of helped me more than the coffee does.
It's like a health drink in a bottle, and there's multiple different and stuff that you could get up sticking with the Tropical Delight.
I was getting sweet gingerberry, and I don't like banana, and they have pretty much banana in their smoothies. I was very willing to work with me when I said, what else can we put in here? And he was like, well, we can try this or this or this. So they were accommodating.
Yeah. Well, and I guess that was the other thing that kind of was a little strange to me. I feel like there wasn't that many vendors here as there in the past altogether. Like, I mean, there was only 2 rows of Agora Valley, and it seemed like a lot of them, it was like, I don't know, it's weird. I guess maybe I'm a little spoiled, we're a little spoiled for you when I say this. Like the class of signage and advertisement and everything went down. Like I saw a lot of signs that were just on the paper with like Sharpie markers writing stuff on it. And I don't know, like maybe those guys were doing pretty good with. I'm not going to like specifically, but maybe they did all right. I just feel like putting a little extra effort into making your storefront look like a better off. You know, not hanging a whole bunch of tarps up around a tent and making it so people have to walk in this little dark area. I don't know. It was just kind of. I saw a couple of things. It's like I don't even want to walk over there and see what they're selling because of how bad it looks. And then, you know, you go down a couple of campsites and, you know, you got something like Bitcoin not buy with, you know, all his beautiful, you know, all of his beautiful shirts across like basically like a clothesline, and you know, he had his tables out. You could see everything that was there. It just looked more appealing. What were you going to say?
I was going to say the advertising really does draw people in.
Yeah.
And for me, it's not even, like, so the quality, I understand that too, but there were places that didn't even have advertised what they had. Like, I can see there's not even a list out here of what you're making.
Just makes it harder for, like, you know, the people that are out shopping looking for food to know what you're offering. I mean, if hopefully you're able to smell the stuff that's a really good. That kind of strange. Like, you know, we wound up getting breakfast sandwiches at from a guy that was serving out of an ice cream truck, and the only reason we knew he had sandwiches was because he had a sign out front. These are the breakfast sandwiches I make, and they're affordable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think a lot of people were complaining too about the time food, so that, you know, kind of after 10 or 11 o'clock, there was pretty much nothing available to eat, and I ran into that one night too. I think I ended up eating nothing that night because there was nothing available. So the market will kind of answer itself, and next year there will be some late night options.
I think maybe it, you know, not to blow too much smoke up his ass, but maybe because Mandrick wasn't there. You know, the past 3 or 4 years he's been there and constantly cooking, or had a team of people cooking behind him. And like, especially when it was down at the pavilion last year, it was like anytime you were hungry you could go down there away or something, but still it was worth it because the food was so good. And we got a little surprise from Allison, so we didn't think they were going to be able to here, and then all of a sudden we're standing in line at the juice caboose, and I'm like, that guy looks like George, and sure enough it was him. And it was good to a little bit while we were waiting for our juice.
Mm-hmm. And I think, you know, from what he said, it's just this was his first Porcfest not working.
Yeah.
And I think maybe that has to do a lot with, like, why a consistency of booths, because people realize, like, hey, I don't want to sit behind a booth all day.
Yep. Yeah, because last year we had to spend so much time on the campgrounds just for the little Agora seed exchange thing that we had going on. It was like, well, somebody's got to be here in case anybody comes by. And I think that's why we pretty much decided this year we're just going to go have fun. And I think we signed up for maybe a little bit too many things. You know, it was kind of one of those things like I don't really want to complain about this, but we had some responsibility up for ourselves, like doing radio show type stuff. And I remember that having to kind of dictate what we were doing the rest of the day. And I know a lot of the times that, you know, doing stuff like radio or whatever to a show that we're doing, and we're missing this and this and this. We might be able to go catch the rest of this, and meanwhile, we're being invited to go over to this after the show.
Yeah, I don't know that sitting in one place for 2 hours is my favorite thing to do at Porcfest.
Yeah.
So we might did that a little, but it was fun, and I feel like I got some radio experience that I'd never done like that before.
Well, yeah, let's talk about that. I mean, I guess so. Thursday night we guest hosted, if you will, or sub-hosted the Angel Clark show.
Mm-hmm.
7 o'clock on Thursday, and I think, well, I guess I know I was nervous myself, and I believe that was the first time you've ever been on actual radio, like, you know, it is wrong. Voluntary Virtues Network is very good, everything, but it's not broadcast over a little thing that you can twist a knob to change the the reception.
Yeah.
It's just old school. It's all syndicated, and you can't cuss. You know, you basically can't do anything, and that's the other thing too. I almost feel like doing this Babecast here on the Voluntary Virtues Network has helped you a lot with that because, well, I guess, what was your experience the first couple of segments?
I was mostly terrified I was gonna cuss, and on this this weekend, and I have been kind of cussing on here, I think.
Well,
I've been keeping it kind of tame. I'm not dropping the F-bomb every sentence or anything, but, you know, I'm
like a lady.
not censoring myself. But that's what I was mostly nervous about on doing that show on LRS.
But see, every guess what I was kind of getting at is you get a chance to take your headphones off, relax.
Yes.
Hey,
yeah.
what are we going to talk about on the next segment, sort of thing? It wasn't this like bang, 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 bang. You gotta keep going and keep yakking for an entire hour straight.
That's true. Like right now, we would have been through almost 2 LRN segments already.
I believe we'd be approaching our second commercial break already. So I mean, you know, I don't think we're going to wind up getting any sort of in on here, not anytime soon. Aside from just stuff that we're interested in, but I don't know. We might have to wind up throwing like a little break here in the middle, right around the half-hour mark, and kind of. I think we should start with just picking a song of the week, sort of thing, yeah. And or maybe if we want to do like a separate review sort of thing, because there's all these new features that came with the Google Hangout toolbox and everything that I want to get into, because you can actually upload video at a time, and then we could kind of like. Oh, this all happened at Porcfest, and we have the video here, and we could instead of doing like the whole screen share thing, I think that might be something that was interesting.
Yeah, that would be fun, and would also give us that break, because that was a lot less stressful, I thought, when we were doing the live radio.
Yep, and luckily it was so late in the evening, we had kind of already gotten over our hangovers, and we're theater mood. I kept forgetting to like talk about this, but Wednesday night, like during the whole the running around doing all the beer and bullshit show and stuff. I mean, we were hanging out with Jim Babb, Cock and his wife, and there was a couple other hoodlums running around with us. Ruby and Nick, yeah, of course, and it was just so much fun. It's interesting. Jim we talk to quite often on the Beer and Bullshit show, and Christina comes on every once in a while. Mm-hmm. But it's like, Ernie, it's always been like a kind of a one-sided conversation with him, because I'm just listening to his show, not really chatting with him back. So I think he might have been a little taken aback by how I, he'd start telling me a story or something. I'm like, oh yeah, I heard you talk about that yesterday. And like, oh yeah, I heard you talk about that last week. And it's like I would interrupt him and be like, can you see it? So I don't think he realized how like diehard I'm not like a fanboy. It's just I listen to it every day. That's my morning show. It's my part of my routine when I get to work. It's a long show, and he's always got guests on and all that stuff. So I don't know. I think that might have had to be surreal, because I feel like you and I had quite a few people walking up to us hey, Garrett and Annie, how you doing? Shaking our hands and all this stuff, and we're carrying on a conversation minutes, and once we start getting down the hill, I'd look at Annie and be like, okay, who was that?
Yeah, I think a lot of that is Facebook, but some of it might be this too. Like, we had some people tell us, "Hey, we've watched a show," and I didn't know anybody
And we'll
watched.
see. I hear that, I gotta be like, well, what show are you talking about? You know?
I hope it was
and,
one of the good ones.
and see, that's the other thing too. Like, I think of quite a few people have known fiends too. Like, at least known my voice, and since I share stuff on Facebook, it's very easy to put a face with it. But when I walk up to somebody and I want to think about what they do or whatever, I generally like to shake their hand, say, "Hey, I'm Garrett, and I appreciate what you do on blah blah blah," rather than just kind of walking up and being all chummy with them right off the bat.
But some people,
They meet us when we're drunk.
no, that
We don't
too.
remember.
But I mean, some people I get the feeling every time, and I've met Ernie Hancock, and God, I hope he doesn't watch this. I've met him like 10 times, and I don't think he's ever remembered me.
Sure.
So, like, even when you're talking to people, especially people who do radio shows, and people come, sometimes they even remember you anyway.
Yeah.
And you think that maybe they do. And sometimes I think that, someone at Porcfest, we might have met them when we were drunk. We might have never met them, but they figure,
be the case more often.
oh, we're Facebook friends. I see your stuff. You must see my stuff.
Those damn libertarians.
So, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just kind of surreal. I'm not sitting here saying we had like people coming up running for our autographs or anything, but I can remember at least 2 or 3 times like sitting there talking to somebody, and it got past the point where I could stop and be like, okay, I'm sorry, who are you again? It was just like I have to seal the deal here, and just like, oh, I gotta keep going. I gotta go walk somewhere else. Like, sorry, there's something else going on.
Yeah, I had a lot of people say we hung out here. I said, oh.
Yeah. That was
I need to stop drinking.
Well, it was our vacation, so really fun. I guess speaking of drinks, we never got a single Firefly board game set up.
No, we didn't.
I feel really, really bad too because I was talking with people on Facebook like Tuesday night before we headed up about playing, and they were really excited because they had, another game board or a game set themselves. So if we had more people that wanted to play, we could do a couple of games. But I mean, I just tell you what, it got to the point where it's like, I don't want to take my board game out there and have it get ruined because of a wet table or like some rain or something. Like it might have been more fun to like go try and do inside somewhere. I was just sitting there thinking like, oh, the wind could gust at any moment and all of our credits would be all over the place.
Yeah, we did. I feel like we had 1 or 2 people ask, hey, what's going on with
Yeah. I wanted to play Cards Against Humanity at night on Saturdays. Sitting down playing cards, I wouldn't want to do.
We did play Cards Against Humanity on Wednesday night.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know where Daryl was.
Yep.
But we had like a 20-person game going.
It was insane.
It was almost hard to play because there were too many people.
It would have been better had we gotten started with the drink. Hard to see. People were just in sling, and it was like piles were getting. What cars were what, and then somehow and they were asking how to play. And I was like, dude, you've been sitting there for like 3 rounds. You're just now asking how do you play.
Yeah.
But I mean, all in all, it was definitely a lot of fun. That was kind of the end of the line for me that night. That's when I was totally zonked out. So what did we do Friday?
So you're skipping over Thursday.
Well, I talked about Angel Clark show.
I don't remember what we did Thursday anyway. Thursday. So after the Angel Clark show, we went to the little Freedom Fiends gathering.
Yeah, that was great. I guess there was probably us hanging out on this hillside. If you go onto Facebook and check the Freedom Fiends radio, you'll see that picture of us hanging out. Kind of a little group pic of all the fiends, and then you'll see another interesting photo that I just saw right before the show today with the good Michael Dean and I had sharing a very touching moment.
Yeah, I don't know where that is taken.
I don't recognize that bathroom anywhere, but there was definitely 2 toilets.
Yeah, so they were sitting to explain, because now we have to. They were right next to each other, pants down, you know.
Yep.
Holding hands.
Yep.
I think
they were holding hands. Yeah, I was hoping at first maybe they were just like passing the paper or something, but no, they were holding hands and bonding over the. Apparently, I don't know. I read the caption that said they didn't feel like waiting in line if there was 2 available toilets right there. So, but I want to know how the third person got in there to take the picture.
Yeah, and where they were. Who would put 2 toilets in one room?
You know, I'm wondering. I wonder if that it did look like it was under construction. I wonder if that was like a bathroom the burnt by the pool last year.
Maybe.
Or who knows? It could have been somewhere, for all I know.
So we'll have to figure that out.
But that was the best night I ate. We had some lovely steaks get made, and I know, I'm sorry, you're not into the beef. I don't think you know what you're missing. Oh, that was the night you didn't eat, too.
Oh, no, that night I found a hempsel. That was still early enough. I had a hemp pretzel, which was awesome from the back.
Did you get the spiel again? About, like, why hemp pretzels are so much better than regular baked?
He kept asking me all these questions. He was trying to sell me mustard and things, which is understandable because that's what salespeople do. But I was like, no, plain. I don't. Well,
remember
anything.
we met that guy at a beer fest in Atlantic City. What was that, like 2012, 2011 maybe?
Yeah, and we saw there that he had a Ron Paul sign up on his little hempsel booth, and we were like, oh, that's interesting, but we don't want to go talk to them. Just because we wanted to drink beer. So.
Well, I came back and I tried a pretzel later. Yeah.
Oh, but okay. I didn't know that you had a real conversation with him.
Yep, tried a pretzel and we got some of his mustard. That's why I remembered it, because you mentioned the mustard, and I remember thinking I hate mustard, but I'm going to try it anyway. Like, he just gave me a sample of the whole thing, and it was actually really good. But yet, that was another event that I have a hard time remembering. I can see why we haven't gone back to that one in a while.
Yeah, I think we were both sleeping by like 5 p.m.
Yeah, because we got started at what, like 11 or something like that?
Yeah, it's one of those day drinking events, which I love. I like day drinking a lot. So.
Yeah. Well, if I got all my stuff done, yeah, I'll start day drinking.
So Garrett got to meet his mentor, or whatever you call him, your pod mentor.
He's my
Oh shit!
Breaking stuff over here. It's okay. It's a really cheap guitar. It looks good. Mentor, not mentor. What are they on the 12 steps?
Your sponsor. That would be Michael W. Dean. So he was the guy who was another guy. So Garrett really looks up to him.
Yeah, well, I love how you say that right there after we talk about that picture. Not quite. I mean, well, you could do really look up to the guy. I mean, chances are, if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't be sitting here doing this show right now. Mainly because my podcasting cherry. Yeah, because it was the Freedom Fiends. I was listening to the Guns and Weed podcast before it even turned into the Freedom Fiends. And I remember thinking, I really want to do this stuff. These guys are cool. They're fun to listen to. I can sit here and yammer on about stuff. Granted, they used to get into a little bit more sophisticated stuff than we really get into here on the program. Mm-hmm. Trust me, there's come up on an authority on it, and some of you guys might be able to see over my shoulder here a little machine sitting back there. That is where I'm going to be getting into the descriptiveness. Sorry, what was that?
You want to talk about that?
Yeah, it's because that was Friday.
Yeah.
That I finally got it back. Okay, so I guess, well, Friday, I think that was I slept until like 2, 3 o'clock maybe before I was even like up in, like I said, it's Porcfest. When you are getting some sleep, you should try and get that sleep. But like my primary mission when I got up was to go meet back up with Jack Shimmick. I think we were talking about last week because I was very, very exciting. This year, rep back to Mendel. It's got the version 1.3 ramps program on it. The motherboard, and it's because I started working on that 2 years ago, back in 3 years ago, 20.
Edge technology.
It was cutting edge technology. I had all the bleeding edge firmware onto it. My main problem was I didn't have a power source. I'm not going to reach for it now, but I needed a old computer. I needed an old CPU that I could power source out of. That way I could get the proper 12 voltage and 5 input that I need in order to get all these little things to get powered up, all the little stepper motors and stuff. But mainly, so it was a mixture, a combination of that, running out of funds and running out of time to work on the thing. In Porcfest 2012, I brought this up, and basically, it wasn't. It was Chris Karn's thing up in
Liberty Love Fest.
Liberty Love Fest.
I think that was 2012.
Yeah. So I went up there and met with him because he was currently getting a hackerspace set up in New Hampshire. So around the time I was kind of still planning on moving up to New Hampshire, so I was like, well, cool. You guys take the rep and start working on it or whatever, and I consider it like a loaner to the hackerspace, and then you guys can print out another set of parts and build your own and give me back this one or whatever. We work out the details when we got there. And it just got to the point where they had so many other projects going on and everything. So finally, I was just like, you know what? I need another little hobby. This is going to work real well with the agorist business that I'm working on. And I got to the point where I was like, okay, let's just get this thing back down here. I'll keep working on it. I'll throw whatever chunks of money I got to get it finished up. There's a few, there's like 2 or 3 components I still need to purchase for it, but getting the thing up and running is my primary concern. I mean, I just got it back, just got back yesterday, and now, I don't know, I spent like maybe 2 or 3 hours messing with, just reading around online about everything I got to do, and feeling pretty good about it. It's all coming back to me. A lot like riding a bike, but I definitely remember I need to get a couple of little crash courses in coding.
So I would like to know, speaking of celebritarians, seems that it was interviewed and photographed for some article that has appeared on the internet advertising that he is going to be giving away 3D printers. I don't know where they're not saying contact Garrett if you want a free 3D printer, but they're saying like this is this guy's plan. He's going to give away 3D printers.
I don't know that you read that right.
I did. I was really confused.
All right, here's the backstory behind this article. Which was very exciting for me to see. Somebody tagged me on Facebook today. They're like, "Hey, Garrett, you were featured in this article." I'm like, "What?" Okay, because it's called Leader something like that. So anyway, this guy Bob was down at the Alt Expo tent when I was picking up the rep wrap. It was in this huge plastic container. I've already unpacked it and everything, but it had like some keyboards and mouses in it, and like an instruction manual and everything. So it was really heavy, all the way down by the pavilion, and our campsite was all the way up the hill at 220. And so, like, I'm thinking maybe I should just walk back up there, grab my Jeep, drive down here, and pick it up, and then drive it back up, because this is just going to be exhausting. I don't want to wear myself out. And this guy was standing behind us, heard it, and he was like, "Oh, hey, I'll give you a lift." I'm like, "Okay, you headed that way?" He's like, "Well, where are you going?" I'm like, "All the way over there." He's like, "Oh, well, yeah, cool. I'll. So he opens up his van. I hop in, and we're just kind of like, okay, like, babe, I'll catch up with you in a little bit. Because I forget, where did you go to, like, headed to something.
I went to see Jordan Pate.
Right, up at Gigi for his impromptu little thing at Gigi's place. So anyway, I get up there and like we're just kind of talking about Porcfest and like come to find out he was doing a story on it and I was like, oh okay, well I hope you're telling us some good stuff and we were just kind of talking about the diversity of people there as you had your minarchists or your constitutionalist guys and then your voluntarists and then your the whole different all your different flavors of anarchists and stuff.
So you got in a reporter's car without knowing that he was a reporter?
Yep.
You're such an amateur celebritarian.
Well, it's not like he had a press pass or anything. I mean, he told me he's like, "Oh, I'm a reporter with the pavilion."
Well, I'm glad he told you at least.
I didn't know he was going to have me in a little segment, a little snippet there. But once I got the thing up there and I dropped it off, we were taking it out of the back of his van. And that's, if you find the article, that's the picture. I'm holding the rep setting up on top of the, the whatever container thing I have there is called. And he just took a picture of it. And I didn't even realize that he was going to have me in the picture. And then he was like, "What's your name?" Well, that's weird, but, you wrote it down, so
what reporters do, yeah.
But so yeah, thank you, Bob. I can't remember your last name, and I apologize. I don't have the article right in front of me. That's one of those things that I wish I would have thought of before the show, but that would require show prep.
Yeah, no.
Which is not really our forte. But real quick, before we get off the 3D printer thing, I just want to show off a couple of things, like in case anybody who's seeing this is like, what the hell is a 3D printer? Okay, so she just got excited about something. This right here, all right, I basically have, like, this was a little goodie bag that was in the bin that I got back. It was kind of like a couple of efforts. This is actually, this was a tensioner I had custom made. This wasn't part of the original plans, but I needed something to hold down on this belt a little bit more, so I put a little pivot point right there, and so whoever worked on this up at the Hackerspace took that off. They said, "That's a terrible idea. That's not how you should be doing that." And so, sweetheart, I know you're a big fan of owls. This is a 3D printed owl. I want to bring this up to the camera here so everyone can see it clearly.
It's beautiful.
Isn't it? So it might be hard to tell from the camera quality here, but there's actually this is a layer at a time of filament being built up until it gets to the paper. And this is just, I mean, this is actually a fairly detailed little object. I mean, you can see a couple of imperfections here and there, but that might have just been in the travel or whatever. And I mean, that's just a little trinket you can make, but you can also do stuff like this. Like this is a whistle, and it's got a ball inside of it too. That ball actually gets 3D printed inside of this as it's coming out, and let's see if it works. Okay, it whistled. Tie that to one of your power cord bracelets, and you'll be all set. I know you're really excited. What did you get?
So I bought a little 3D printed object at Porcfest. It only cost $1. It's probably the coolest thing I own. So this is a bottle opener that contains a penny. So it's all 3D printed. The little penny's in there. Click up, open your beer. And it was only $1. I thought it was going to be more expensive. I had Garrett opening my beers pretty much all week.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw this thing, and I was like, yes!
Well, because our buddy Pablo had one already. And that, I forget where you saw the first one.
I don't remember Pablo's real name, but...
Christian.
I was like, who's Pablo? Yeah, so he had one, and he told me the little booth them, and I hunted down that me one too. So, speaking of cool things at Porcfest, I'm going to take off a second and give you guys a nice facial close-up over here.
Oh, yeah. So these are some quill earrings that our good friend Nikki Darling made. If
I hope people could see that.
Yeah, it might be hard to see, but if you want to hold it up there more, I can describe it. They're 22 bullet casings with porcupine quills sticking out of them and like some kind of gem on top. And I know those were a hit. I'm not sure how well she did as far as selling out of her inventory or anything, but I saw a lot of people wearing her jewelry. Um, Deanna, a fellow freedom fiend, the who might be or might not be in cahoots with Christian slash Pablo, and she got a really beautiful necklace that Nikki had made. It was
Yeah.
it had like a cyberpunk feel to it. Like it was a heart with like these mechanical components with like screws coming out of the side of it and everything.
Yeah, I think Ruby got one like that too. And Diana also had quill earrings. So it seems like Nikki's stuff was pretty popular, at least amongst our friends and hopefully with everybody else at Porcfest. But I know she sells it too. So if you wanted to go to her Facebook page, her name is Nikki Darling, and she sells really cool jewelry.
Yeah, I know she's got a website set up too. I just can't think of it off the top of my head, actually, because we got to go make another appointment with her, or make an appointment with her to go do our engagement photos.
Yes. We were going to do engagement photos at Porcfest, and then I think just with the rain and the drunkenness and the tiredness and
not being able to take a shower,
we were like, maybe this isn't the best idea.
Yeah, because she's located down here somewhere in southern Maryland or something like that, and so it'll be really close to go meet up with her. Because I still feel bad. We missed their loose thing in the morning.
Yes, we did.
Didn't know how to make our own e-vapes, even though I know you guys just saw me smoking a cigarette. I have a e-vape thing in my mind that I intend to order, and it was really just a matter. This is kind of the first time I've really been on the internet since we got back from Porcfest. Scrolling all the pictures that lovely people from Porcfest.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember something I wanted to bring up earlier when we were talking about running into George and at the Juice Caboose and everything. Michael Shanklin. I don't know if anybody was mentioning it to you, but I had like 3 different occasions I was like, I heard talking and I was like, where is he? Do you know where he is right now? And like I would get like, oh yeah, 26 blah blah blah. I'm like, okay. Walk down there, no Michael Shanklin. I don't know how. I don't know how. Yeah. I missed you at last year's Porcfest. So
apparently he was there though. I saw a picture of him with somebody we know.
Yep.
So I believe them that he does exist and he is a person who was at Porcfest. But we want to meet you. I think Garrett met you before. Maybe I have too. I have a bad memory.
Not in person.
Okay.
And sure. I apologize, Michael Shanklin, if we have met in person and I don't remember, but we did some kind of radio show, Google Plus Hangout thing, I don't know, almost 3 years ago. I mean, shit, he was on the Disindoctrination podcast. Yeah. So it's one of those things, like, you know so many people, and then you know some of them are going to be at this, it's a campground. Like how hard could it be to track down the person that you're trying to find? But sure enough, it's like everyone's floating around, moving around from place to place, doing all kinds of different. It can be difficult. That's why I'm surprised. Like there wasn't a lot of people on the radios this year either. There was a couple of the usual suspects that we were all communicating with, but I bet it was like. I knew that had a radio that knew how to work it properly. That's the other thing. If you're going to bring a radio to Porcfest, make sure you learn how to use it. Was you, and we were pretty much connected at the hip the whole time. So.
So Derek J was on our channel for a while. We never told Cecilia Makers. They were the ones who we were radioing with a lot last year.
Yeah, but I don't think they had radios because Dan was using ours last year.
So we didn't have very many people to radio with.
And I got. The one proper call I got on the radio was from Michael Dean. Yeah. So he quickly was good at using it properly. Just hit the call button, because that calls everybody who's on channel 3 or whatever channel they're on when they're hitting the call button. Hit the buttons. They're looking for.
Yeah. I don't think people always get that.
Yeah. So then we did the Fiends on Saturday. That was a lot of fun.
We did. So Garrett and Diana hosted the Fiends, and then I was on for 2 segments. Christian was on for a segment. Yep. I can't remember who. Lou Sander you had on.
We had Lou on, yep. And I think Cody was on for a little bit too.
Yes.
Yeah, because, that's right, because we did, we went and hung out with at 10 o'clock show on Saturday. I missed his show Thursday night. Or no, maybe I just caught the last segment. I can't remember now. For those of you that don't know, I keep telling people, this guy is freaking hilarious. His show is so good. Especially when it goes into an after show sort of thing. So if you got time for that sort of, I do. I sit at a computer all the freaking time and I just listen to podcasts. But Off the Air Live is the name of his show. You can find it at offtheairlive.com. And just going in, at least the past couple of episodes from Porcfest, they're a little bit different than the normal format. All the from Porcfest are, because you have like a live studio audience. I was doing Angel Clark's show. It was like pretty much if you were in the room at the time, there was a very good chance you were going to be asked to come up on to the show. Like I think, because we had to twist Bob Murphy's arm to come in and sit down with us for a minute. He's like, no, I gotta go. I got something else I gotta do in like 20 minutes. I'm like, okay, so sit down for a few minutes and do a segment with us. And he did, and that was fun.
Yeah, and I'm trying to remember who else. So we had Bob Murphy on, and who knows? I was pretty much calling up audience because I was like, if someone else comes up here that's less talking,
we had
I
Marcus
need to do,
on.
and I'm stressed. We did have Marcus.
We had Marcus on for a while.
He was actually really great.
Yeah. Well, see, he had been on radio though plenty of times in the past.
He had a lot to talk about. So he was.
This guy's got like 4 different projects going on.
Yeah, he was helping out with Porcfest. He
was doing the logo design. Yeah.
He designed the website. He's a big.
He's his one-man band, the Nothing Project, and then what was Mindless Tales? Brainless Tales. Okay. Why do I keep getting this comic wrong? I've seen quite a few of them. The guy puts up a new comic every single day, and he's been doing it for the past 7 years, he claimed. So
that's insane. I need to get some more information about how you can possibly do that. How do you have that many ideas in your head?
Doesn't something pop in your head pretty much every day?
Something funny and original? No. I don't think so.
I read it from somebody else.
I'm not very funny.
No, I think you're hilarious.
Funny, Cody really is funny, and I never watch his show. I never listen to his show. I don't listen to much radio. But he had me cracking up.
I know.
I like that guy.
I saw you sitting out in the stands with like tears in your eyes. The stands out in the chairs.
The stands.
Yeah. That's the other thing too. There's always so the back half of the LRN studio passed out playing on their laptops because that's the closest they can get to the Wi-Fi router, and a lot of people like to take naps in there for whatever reason. I don't understand why you want to do that. There's always people coming in and out. It gets loud sometimes.
I'm thinking probably people who didn't have campsites and stuff just decided I'm going to sleep in the media room.
Yeah. Which is, that's one of the things that, back to what you were kind of saying earlier in the beginning, I hope people weren't anxious with this whole water thing. I'd like to think that, freedom, liberty people for the most part are going to be, they're not going to be destructive with other people's property and whatnot. But on the same token, when you get almost, 1,000 people, I don't even remember what the final count, when you get that many people in a concentrated area like a campground or something, there's just bound to be a few bad in there. It's good to help try and weed those people out, which I think the community does a pretty good job, but it can also kind of turn into like a sort of a popularity contest, where you start to pick different teams. Because apparently I heard, you know what? I'm not even going to bring it up. I don't even want to bring it up.
Well, so the one thing I about that it could have been young people, and complaint from this Porcfest organizer and from a lot of people posting on the Porcfest page. There were a lot of unattended children and teenagers.
Oh, yeah.
Just kind of running around doing their own thing, and people were kind of suspecting they were getting into stuff. Apparently one kid peed in the pavilion, and people were doing all sorts of things that parents were writing, please return to campsite whatever, on their arm and dropping them off at the children's place, which blatantly said, we are not babysitters, we're not going to watch your kid, we're here, we have stuff. So I think some mad about the supervision.
All right, supervision not just for your children, but supervision from your dogs. Yes. Please, people, if you're going to bring your dog to Porcfest, do not just tie them to your frickin' camper and leave them on your campsite all day long, all morning long, and all. We had some jerk off, and I'm sorry, I hate to say it like that, just tied his dog up in the morning and drove off and did who knows what. Probably drove down to the pavilion, parked down. To sit there and bark nonstop the entire morning. And I'm not saying like this was 9 o'clock in the morning. So the second this dog would start going, got to the point where I was getting ready to go out, untie the dog, and just bring it over so it could chill with me in the tent or whatever, because it might shut up and let us get some sleep. I mean, how do you feel about that? I mean, it's always interesting. I find this correlation when you were talking about unattended children, but the same thing with dogs. It's like, especially going to be at Porcfest, you have responsibilities still. Mm-hmm. You can't just trust that your 11, 12-year-old kid is fine. They're with other kids, and I maybe some of the cause of it. I mean, it's not like the kids are running around drinking and everything, too. They're going to want to get into mischief. They're probably not going to want to sit down through any seminars or anything either. They're probably sitting there thinking, oh, man, my parents bring me to this boring thing every year. Rah, rah, rah.
Yeah. So it's not only mean to your dogs and your kids. So Porcfest Security said they had more missing kid reports this year, and that was what they were doing a lot of the time, was tracking down kids who had lost their parents more than any other year. So it's not only mean to your dog and your kid, but it's inconsiderate to other people who might be trying to sleep, who might be I don't know, during that time. Don't do it. You can easily leave dogs and kids at home with babysitters, dog sitters. That's what a lot of people do.
There's babysitters at Porcfest. There's dog sitters at Porcfest too, for that matter. And I think they were charging I don't know, like $5 an hour or something like that. It wasn't even anything. It was like they'll walk your dogs, they'll feed it, and they were offering to clean up your campsites and all that good stuff. Because that was tough for us, especially I think it was like Sunday when we were packing up and getting ready to leave and doing all that driving. I was really, really starting to miss our kitty.
Yeah, me too.
We were worried we were going to get back to Annie's mother's house to pick her up, and she wasn't going to recognize us anymore, or she was going to be like 3 times the size. I think I did know I think she got a little bigger, but I think that's just because your mom was feeding her properly, Yeah,
I mean, and we had been feeding her. She wasn't eating properly, I guess, and she had started eating more when she went to my mom's, because she was eating about half of what she should when she was here in our apartment.
Yeah.
So.
And now we know she doesn't like the liver and chicken combo. So she won't even touch it for me anymore. Used to, when we first got her, she'd eventually eat it when she was hungry, but now she just won't touch it because she knows we're holding out on the good stuff.
So yeah, the guy today, I was talking to him about looking for new foods, and he was basically saying, don't give your cat too much variety. If you find one they like, stick with it, because once they start realizing, hey, I can have my pick. That's what cats are going to do. They're anarchists. They're going to say, I'm not eating this food.
So 11 hours of driving home from Porcfest. Boy, was I relieved to get home and take a nice hot shower and sleep in a nice comfy bed. I did forget to mention that we did get Nick and Ruby left us. They abandoned us early on Saturday, and so it was like, well, they got the model price. I think that was the best night of sleep I got at Porcfest was the final night because we had the air conditioning, we had a nice comfy bed, it was quiet, there was no dogs barking right outside, and that was good because packing up Sunday morning from Porcfest can be one of the most grueling things, especially to add on, 10+ hour drive home.
Mhm.
3 of which was with a screaming kitty and an overcapacitated Jeep.
Yeah, I was kind of proud of us of, showing some restraint on Saturday night. It was our last night. We were kind of looking at the bonfire, like, we should go down there. It's our last night. And we were like, we should go to bed.
Well, I think it also helped that we were out of beer.
Yeah, but I mean, there's always alcohol to be found at Porcfest if you went
fair.
down there. But
That is very much the case. So, any more plans? Do we have anything coming up at this summer? Nothing that I know of off the top of my head.
Although I wanted to tell you about this. I don't know if you're feeling this, but so in September, the Free State Project, or at least I should say the Free Coast, is having another festival. This might be the new Porcfest.
Uh-oh.
So the Free Coast is like the Portsmouth, New Hampshire area.
Oh.
Over on the coast.
So not Free Keene, but Free Coast.
Which is a lot closer of a drive. And they're having a festival. I believe it is September 20th. It's just a weekend now. Starts on Friday, goes till Sunday. And they are having kind of a pub crawl, and they have a space rented out, and they're doing a cruise out on the water. And I was thinking, that sounds cool. Take off a Friday.
Wait, they're doing a cruise out on the water on a 2-day event?
Yeah, not no. It's like a kind of a nightly booze cruise thing.
I gotcha. Okay, I've seen those before. That's kind of like what they did for my senior cruise in high school. That sounds interesting, and I guess stay in a friggin', huh?
Yeah, and so it might be kind of a mini Porcfest. I was thinking we might check it out. I think it was $75 for the weekend. That's not a bad deal if you just get a hotel.
Well, I guess we'll have to check into that and keep people posted on what we find out about that, because I definitely would like to check into that. Just, it's one of those things, though. People always worry, are going to speakers, are we going to have enough things going on? I think that is like the secondary things that as far as reasons why we go to this stuff. I think the real magic, if you will, happens when you're walking, like when you're at Liberty Forum, when you're walking in the hallways, and you're bumping into other people and you're talking about stuff. I mean, that's when me and Drew Phillips started becoming really good buddies, because we were both wearing blue jeans, Chuck Taylors, and a Cop Block hoodie. And we just looked at each other and it was like, hey, I like your style. And, that's one of the guys I spent a lot of time with at Porcfest this year, last year, and the year before.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's the only time we ever get to see each other. So, when these events and stuff pop up, don't worry so much about the musical performances and the people that are doing the speaking and all that stuff. I mean, I hate to say it, but some of those New York events, they worry way too much about that stuff when people just want to hang out and drink and talk.
Yeah, too many speakers sometimes.
Yeah.
So.
People need that solidification. What if somebody backs out or something, I guess.
Yeah. And I think, that keeps us going back to Pork. Despite this year, I feel tired, exhausted, and dirty, and I was still like, it was worth it to see all the people. A lot of them we only get to see once a year. So.
It is very, very exhausting, but in the end, it is totally worth it. And all right, guys, there's another show coming up here, so we got to get the hell out of the way. Let's see, what is it? Oh, I'll let them introduce their own show. But always a pleasure doing the little thing here. I'm going to get back to my rip rapping, or maybe we'll go watch a movie or something.
I'm going to bed.
All right, we're out of here, guys.
Bye.